everybody, a warm welcome and happy Friday. Welcome to this Governor Hub in 30 minutes. My name's Jane. I'm a success manager at the Key. I'm joined today by Danielle, who's a specialist content editor for Governor Hub, and also Leonie, who mans the support team at Governor Hub, and Polly, our marketing manager as well. So we've got a good team of people here for the next 30 minutes. And it's my intention to give you a very quick whiz around of how Governor Hub can support governance in your school or in your trust. I should say 30 minutes, it's a tall order these days to get Governor Hub into 30 minutes because it has so many features, and this year we've added so many new features. This will be a very quick whiz around, but just to reassure you, if you need any more detail, if after the webinar, if you want to know more about anything that you see, if you contact support@governorhub.com, we have lots of pre-recorded content that we can send you, and we can answer questions as well on the help desk that you have. So as I said, the aim is just to give you a flavour of what Governor Hub includes, and as Danielle will be talking later on as well about, she's part of the team that creates the resources and the courses and the content on Governor Hub Knowledge, so she's going to talk a little bit about how that content is created as well. Okay, so Governor Hub essentially is everything that your governors need through one secure login. It's both the tools and the knowledge that you need to make great governance. And you do need both, because when you're a governor, there are jobs to be done and you need the knowledge to do those jobs, and the two together are what make the magic. So it gives, as I say, it gives governors the tools and the knowledge to carry out their governance work effectively. And it also aims to reduce administration time for governance professionals so that they can focus on their job. Those are our sort of main aims. So actually, I'm going to dive straight in now and show you around Governor Hub. So when you log in, this is the page that you come to. This is Governor Hub, the login page. I'll just show you a few things here. Down the sidebar, down the left-hand side, you have a sidebar where all of your boards sit. So if you're on multiple boards, there'll be a lot of options here. If you only sit on one governing board, you'll probably only have one or two. At the right-hand side, you have upcoming events. So anything that's in your calendar will appear here. And what's really useful about this is that any papers will also be linked there. So you can actually go straight to the folder for the meeting from the front page. And a lot of our members find that really useful, because sometimes you're just logging on to Governor Hub because you literally just want your papers. And you can, rather than having to search through a document section, you can go straight to the relevant folder. And likewise, if it's a virtual meeting and those, a Teams link or a Google Meet has been added to the calendar, you can access that as well from the first page. So really simple. There's a news feed down the front, which pulls from anything that's relevant in the news, and very helpfully, all of the headlines relates to articles on Governor Hub Knowledge that can support you with that news item. So for example, you can see here, thousands of children with SEND are going to benefit from assistive technology, and we've got 2 articles there that tell you a little bit more about SEND and AP improvements and funding for pupils with SEND. So we always relate it to more content that will help you understand your role in that piece of news. At the top, we have your profile. Now, one of the first things that Governor Hub is really useful for is managing compliance. Those jobs that governors need to do and governance professionals need to collate, things like declarations of interest, confirmations, those sorts of things can be done straight into Governor Hub, and they can be collated by the governance professional. So these are done under the profile. So under the profile, you have an area called compliance, and this is where all those jobs sit. So you can add and you can remove and you can edit your declaration of interests here. If you want more information about what sorts of things you should be declaring, you can click there and it will take you to an article that details that. And then when you're happy that this list is correct, you just click confirm, and it goes green to say, yeah, you confirmed this on the 27th of June. And green means compliant. So you've done your declarations in this academic year. The second thing that you need to do is confirm that you've read Keeping Children Safe in Education. And as we know, this will be updated again in the summer. So in the summer, the link will link to the latest version. Our link is always linked to the latest version of Keeping Children Safe in Education. You can click the link to read it, and then when you've read it, you can click confirm and tell your governance professional or clerk that you have done that, and they'll be able to download a list of people who've confirmed, and they can sort of check that compliance job has been done. You can also set up bespoke confirmations. So it might be that your governance professional has set you some additional ones, like I have read the code of conduct. You have to read the link, and again, it's the same process. You just click to confirm that you've read. So all those compliance jobs can be done easily, and they can be looked at by the governance professional centrally as well. So what the governance professional can do at a board level is they can go into the compliance tab, and they can actually see who's up to date with their declarations. They can send them a reminder, who's confirmed they've read Keeping Children Safe. If anyone hasn't done it in this academic year, they can send them a reminder, and the same for any of the confirmations they've set up. They can also download a handy report in the About tab under the Download section, which is a register of interests. You can have it as a PDF, a Word, or an Excel, and they can also download a compliance check as well. So the GovernorHub is really good for managing compliance. It's easy to do the jobs, easy to have oversight of them as well. Right, going back into the board, let me just show you around the different tabs. So as well as the compliance under the profile, you have a notice board where you can communicate amongst your governing board. You can tell people when you've uploaded papers. You can signpost people just by typing in the box and then sending the message, and people can react and they can reply. And the great thing about the notice board is when somebody posts something, you receive an email alert to let you know that something's happened. The calendar, as I mentioned briefly, links beautifully to the front page. So when events are added to the calendar, the clerk or the governance professional can actually add the folder to the meeting. They can also, when the meeting's taken place, they can mark attendance. So what they can do is they can actually just say very quickly with a click who attended, who sent their apologies. And then once that information is saved, GovernorHub stores it so you can download an attendance report for your board as well. So very, very quickly very quick and easy to monitor attendance through the calendar. Helpfully, you can also subscribe to the calendar. So if, like me, you've got a busy household and you have a family calendar, you can actually subscribe to the GovernorHub calendar so that those governance meetings come into and sort of link with your family calendar as well. Moving on to the documents section. So this is where your papers are uploaded and where you can upload papers. It's very straightforward to use, but it has a number of features that make it particularly suited to governance. So first of all, you can restrict the visibility of folders to certain committees. You can to upload, it's really easy. You either add and then upload, or you can drag and drop into folders as well. It has a number of other features, like for policies, you can set review dates. So you can actually set a review date for a policy and say when that policy is going to be due for review. And then what it does is when it's overdue, it goes red. If it's upcoming in the next term, it's sort of orange. And if it's like way in the future, it stays grey. So it kind of has that little rag rate thing to alert you when policies are due for review. You can also sign things remotely on GovernorHub. So if you want to sign off minutes, again, using that three-dot menu, you can mark as signed and you can hover and see the date that was signed. And what's lovely is there's also a download for that as well. So you can download and see who signed a particular document. So that's kind of the documents section. Moving on to the membership area. So this is where you manage membership on the board. You can add and remove members if you're an admin. And at a glance, you can see what roles people have. You can see what committees they sit on and what their appointments are. And if you're an admin, you can actually edit that, reappoint, remove, and sort of manage that area so it's always up to date. And when someone's removed from the board, they move over into the historical members section so that they don't have access to GovernorHub anymore, but you can actually see a timeline of when they joined and left the board and any notes that have been provided there. The roles tab is where you assign chair, vice chair, clerk, and you can add your own bespoke roles as well. And the committees tab, this is where you set up your committees and you manage the membership. So you can add and remove members from the committee. You can set the chair of the committee, the clerk, the admin, etc., using that three-dot menu. And the constitution, you set this up and it'll tell you when you've got vacancies. So you can set up your constitution to reflect the constitution of your organisation, and it will sort of tell you when you've got vacancies as well. There's even a handy link there to our partner, Governors for Schools. So if you have any vacancies, you can click that link and advertise those vacancies through Governors for Schools. The effectiveness tab is particularly exciting. So this is quite new. So if you've seen GovernorHub previously and you haven't seen it recently, you might not be aware, but we now have a skills audit. And the skills audit exists in GovernorHub. Governors complete it really quickly in GovernorHub. It's only 2 pages. They do it in GovernorHub, and it's collated automatically by the system. So previously, you know, I think skills audits often were quite paper-based and very sort of administrative heavy. This one's really quick and easy. Governors basically go in, they complete their skills audit here, and then you, if you're the admin, you can actually chase it here as well. And then you get this lovely overview of the effectiveness of your board. You can drill down and see what statements people were struggling with and where boards need more support. Like this one's read here. I feel able to challenge the information we receive. So if that was read on a board, you might say, right, that board needs a few more resources, signposting from GovernorHub Knowledge about how to ask questions. So it gives you really useful information about how your board is operating, how effective it is. You get a skills summary of the board. So you can see at a glance what skills people have had. And this is really useful for succession planning. You know, if you've got a chair that's coming to the end of their term of office, you can go in and you can sort of see, right, who's had some experience of chairing, who would be the person that I would approach prior to that term of office ending and say, you know, would you like some support with or mentoring to nurture them into the role of chair? And the same for these other jobs, you know, like suspensions and exclusions, who would you call on for a panel? Performance management of the head teacher, who would you call on? That sort of thing. Training is fairly self-explanatory. You can see at a glance where people have requested training, and you can see how many people and who have requested training, and then signpost them to courses to help plug those training gaps. The experience tab, the summary here is really useful because it gives you an overview of the skills across the board and where the gaps are. So if you have a vacancy, you can look at the board and you can say, right, where have we got a vacancy? What kind of profile of person would be really great to recruit to this governing board? I mean, it is really important to do that because, you know, you can end up with, you know, 8 people who have got a background in finance, or 7 parents, or 6 ex-teachers. And actually what you really want is, if you can, because I know, you know, it's difficult to recruit governors in the real world, but if you can, what you want to try and do is try and get a broad range of skills and diversity on your board. Sometimes actually it can inform where you look for governor vacancies. You know, for example, you know, my board recently recruited somebody with marketing experience, and actually that's quite wise. If you're looking at, if your pupil numbers are down in your school, you can say, oh, you know, maybe we need someone with marketing and publicity experience. And actually that kind of sometimes informs where you look. You could approach, you know, local marketing agencies and say, you know, any of your staff would like to volunteer. So you can flip it that way and say, actually, it can make you proactive about where you look for your governors. Compliance tab we've covered. Governor visits, that's another new tab that we've added this year. So we felt that governor visits are a really big part of what governors do, and they're very important for that link between the governors and the school community. You can schedule the visits in advance, you can put the focus in, you can add the date, and you can select the person who's going to be visiting. And then when you save it, it appears there. And then when the visit takes place, the person doing the visit can actually just update the visit. They can upload their visit report to that area. And then what happens is it becomes clickable, and then you can click straight into that visit report like that. So it's a really nice way of scheduling your visits in advance, having a clear place for people to upload them. And actually you can even search by focus of visits. So if you just want to see what send visits have happened, you can actually type a word and it will sort of filter through the list like that as well. The About tab I covered briefly. The main thing here is the downloads. So you can, because a lot of information is contained in GovernorHub, you can download a lot of things like a list of members, a list of changes. You can download the training record for the board. You can download the register of interest, the compliance check, the attendance list, committees lists, documents that are signed. There's a whole range of things that you can actually pull off here. Now, as I mentioned at the start, great governance is the tools and the knowledge together. And actually what we've done is we've created now one product that has both of these. The bit I've just shown you there is a lot of the business of governance, the kind of jobs that you need to do. But the knowledge option is here, and it's through the same login. So you can click through from the sidebar to GovernorHub Knowledge. And this is where all of your resources, all of your content that Danielle's going to talk about in a moment, and all of the training is contained, and it's all through that single login, and it links up with that GovernorHub tool, and I'll show you how. So the first thing I want to say is in terms of knowledge and knowledge to act, on the first page, you will see any changes and what those changes are. And you'll see actually this week, the Academy Trust Handbook was updated. So straight away, we had a need to know. And a need to know is a type of article that we have on GovernorHub Knowledge, which is where guidance has been updated and we instantly put a summary there so that you don't have to wade through a big document for the DFE or find out what the changes are yourself. We summarize them here. So we have a summary of the changes, and a document like this, you might want the rest of your board to know about it, so you can share on GovernorHub. You can share it on GovernorHub. And what will happen is if you're on multiple boards, they'll all appear, and you can select all of them, or 1, 2, 3 of them. You can edit the text to say, you know, dear governors, here's a link that will tell you about the changes to the Academy Trust Handbook. Share, and it will post that link on every notice board that you've asked it to. And that will email alert all governors. So you're sending them a really useful piece of knowledge about something that's changed that they might need to be aware of. So you can very quickly do that. You can also use, there's so many resources here. I couldn't show you them all now. I'm just going to show you a couple that are really, really useful. The question banks on here are exceptionally useful. So if you are, say, a SendLink governor and you're doing a SendLink governor visit, and you are really not sure what to ask, or you know what to sort of ask about. You might want to ask something about attendance, but you're not sure how to phrase the questions. You could type questions about send or questions about anything. And what will come up is a really handy question bank, which not only has a lovely list of really strategically worded questions, but also model answers as well. So you're really supporting that governor with that visit by giving them some really nicely worded questions, but also where to go with them. So it's not just here's a list of questions, it tells you where to go with it. So for example, if you were wanting to ask particularly about attendance and send, there's a couple of questions in that bank about attendance. And what you can do is you can expand there, and it tells you the question, how do the attendance rates for pupils with send compare to those without? And then it tells you what a model answer would look like and gives you some follow-up questions. So if you ask that question, what would you expect the SENCO to say and do? Well, first of all, you'd expect them to show you some data. They should be able to talk about the trends in the data, and that you can ask them, you know, what have you done to follow up any attendance issues? Are there any legitimate reasons for absence? You know, perhaps you have some children with high medical needs, or perhaps you have a cohort of home educated children. How have parents and carers been involved in improving attendance and exclusion rates for pupils with SEND? So you have that support, that scaffolded support in questioning. And I think this is really powerful because, you know, I think asking good questions is not something that comes natural, particularly if you don't have a background in education. And I think having this kind of scaffolded support to do that is, as I was said at the beginning, the tools and the knowledge, it will improve your governance because people will feel confident to have the knowledge to act. And what you can do is, I showed you the share on GovernorHub. If you want to share something globally, you can share with colleagues. If it's just one person you want to support, you can put in their email address. You can add a little message, you know, like, oh, you've got a SendLink governor visit coming up, you know, here's a useful bank of questions, and you can share the article link by email with them as well. So there's a whole load of other resources about everything to do with governance here. So all of those can be shared in that way. Now, there's also a really great selection of training here. It's online training, so it can be taken at any time. And the great thing about it is it integrates with your training record on GovernorHub. So if you complete training here, it populates your training record automatically. We've got a range of really useful training, but not too much. We've gone for quality over quantity here. GDPR and governance, we've got induction, we've got staff and parent governor training, we've got suspensions and exclusions training, we've got link governor training, prevent safer recruitment, the safeguarding course that all governors need to do, and we've got an annual refresher coming out once the new Keeping Children Safe has been brought out by the DfE. We also have some learning pathways on monitoring attendance, on looking at finance, on handling complaints. Really, really useful courses that will help improve your governance. And because they're online and can be taken at any time, the engagement with them is a lot higher. You don't have to take a day off work to do these courses. You can do them at a time that suits you. And the same as the articles, you can signpost them in the same way by clicking in. You can either share with colleagues if it's one person, or you can share on GovernorHub if it's a whole board or a whole trust that you want to do that. There we go. Right, so Danielle, our specialist content editor, is going to talk a little bit about how the content's created on GovernorHub Knowledge. Thank you, Danielle.
Okay, hi everyone. Yes, I'm Danielle. I'm specialist content editor at GovernorHub, and I'll go through this very quickly because I'm sure we want to get back to looking at the AI tool because it's very exciting. So just quickly, a little bit about what goes on behind the scenes with GovernorHub Knowledge. So from our content, you can expect that it is fact-checked several times. It goes through a rigorous process just to make sure we've got everything right and we're not giving you any false information. Reviewed regularly, so we have a cycle of a review cycle where we look at articles, even if there hasn't been any updates to guidance, just to make sure that they're looking healthy and they've got all the information that they need. And then whenever there are changes to guidance, we won't wait for that review date. We'll go in, we'll update it as soon as we can. One of our tone of voice principles are all about giving you the information in as little words as possible and making it as useful as possible. We know that governors are really busy. We know that governance professionals are really busy, and you don't want to read through all of the government guidance. It's long. It doesn't make much sense when you first read it. So we try and condense it and put it in really easy to understand language. And it's designed to give you the knowledge to act. So whenever we're writing a piece of content, we're constantly thinking, what is the governor going to do with this? Or whoever's reading it, what are we doing to help them be able to take this back to their governance and make it as good as possible? Next slide, please. So this is one of the things that Jane's already mentioned as need to know. So this is something that we do whenever there's a big piece of guidance that's come out from the DfE or Ofsted or someone else. We drop everything and we focus on that and we get the information out as quickly as we can. So, for example, the Academy Trust Handbook, which came out on Wednesday, we had our need to know live within 4 hours of the guidance dropping. So it's quick, it's still thoroughly checked, which is why it's not out within half an hour, because we have the content editor who writes it. It goes through the sub-editing process as well, just to make sure we've got everything right. But 4 hours and it was out and there and ready for you to see. And then we'll be working behind the scenes on things like summary of changes. So like I said, Academy Trust Handbook came out on Wednesday. The summary of changes article came out yesterday. So it takes us a little bit longer, but it's still really timely for you to have a look through the finer details. And then the part we're on now with the Academy Trust Handbook is looking at what other content we need to update. So going through all the articles that we have that link to the Academy Trust Handbook, anything that's changed in the handbook that needs updating, that's the next step. So over the next couple of weeks, that's what we'll be working on for that. We're also expecting Keeping Children Safe in Education soon, so that goes through the same process. Whenever there's something big that drops, this is what happens on our end. We drop everything and we focus on that, getting that piece of information over to you. Okay, next slide. So another thing that we offer is an advice service. So you can go through the help desk like you normally would for any GovernorHub questions and ask content-related questions. So if you're not quite sure about a piece of guidance, if something's happened on your board and you need some advice, if you're requesting a piece of content or anything like that, go through the usual method and it'll get passed on to our team. So we aim to respond within 3 days. Normally, we're a lot quicker than that. Normally, it's the same day or the next day, but definitely within 3 days. And we'll give you 100% of the answer. So if we've looked through the guidance and we found it's not very clear or we don't have the information for you, we'll reach out and find it. So we've got HR partners, we've got we contact the DFE, we'll try and find it for you, and then we'll come back to you with 100% of the answer so that you can move forward with whatever it is that you were stuck with. Next slide, please. And along with that as well, you can send us your feedback. So you can either rate our articles and training courses at the bottom of the page, and that comes through to us, and we read every piece of feedback. If you give us 1 or 2 stars for something, we always look to improve our content. So we come back to you and we say, what can we do better here? We always want to hear from you. If you think a piece of content or a training course isn't quite what you wanted, or it's missing something, or if there's a link that doesn't work or anything, we like to hear about it. And then we'll go back and we'll make the changes. Similarly, we also like to we really like to hear the 5-star ratings. We like to hear what we've done well, what you found particularly helpful, because that can help us improve other content on the site as well. And so this is either at the bottom of an article or training course, or you can just, again, go through the support button like you normally would and send us any feedback on there as well. I've gone through that very quickly. So yeah, you can either go through the support button or you can contact us on support@governorhub.com, and it will get through to us either way, and we'll come back to you.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's been a very quick whiz around, but if you do have any more questions about GovernorHub, please email support@governorhub.com and we can give you more information. Thanks again for giving up your Friday, and enjoy your weekend. I hope it's sunny wherever you are.